Hi, my name's Isaac. For many years, the Toyota Tacoma TRD-Pro was heralded as the king of off-road focused midsize pickup trucks. But nowadays, there's a lot of competition out there. So the question of the hour is, does the Taco still reign supreme? So today, let's find out together. As I said in the intro, the new TRD-Pro faces some stiff competition from the likes of the Ranger Raptor, the Chevy Colorado ZR2, the GMC Canyon AT4X, the Gladiator Rubicon, and the Nissan Frontier Pro 4X to some degree. I think the Pro 4X would be more competitive if it accidentally fell into a vat of gamma radiation and got slightly buffer. Not as buff as the Incredible Hulk, just slightly buffer. But I don't think Toyota's intimidated by any of that competition. They really came to play with this new TRD-Pro. It has quite a few features I'm really excited to show you guys, but let's start out up front. Here you're gonna get full LED headlights with LED daytime running lights. You'll have parking sensors that dot the front end. You'll have rigid LED fog lights. And then further down here, you'll have a TRD skid plate underneath, two red Toyota branded recovery hooks, and then up in the grille you'll have a camera for the 360-degree camera system, a light bar below that, and the Heritage Toyota grille. Personally, I'm not necessarily a fan of the light bar. I think it looks a little tacky here, but I know a lot of people really like having the option of the light bar, and I think it's incorporated into the grille pretty tactically. Every time they send me one of these off-road trucks from the manufacturers, it seems like they always send me one in brown. But honestly, I'm kind of here for it. This is the 2025 TRD color Mud Bath, and I think it looks fantastic. I really like it, and I like it a little bit more than the Ranger Raptor I had in brown last year. I think it just works really well for this truck, especially with the off-road oriented appeal. It's at least a little bit more off-road oriented than the 2026 TRD color Wavemaker, though admittedly I really do like how fun Wavemaker looks. Moving underneath the hood in the TRD-Pro, unfortunately, the V6 has gone the way of the Dodo, not only in the Tacoma, but in many of its competitors as well. Now, a four-cylinder is the only option across the trim lineup with variations of turbocharging. This particular engine is the most powerful version available, the 2.4-liter iForce Max, making 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. Those are some pretty serious numbers for a four-cylinder, and that engine is paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission. The EPA estimates on the TRD-Pro are 22 city, 24 highway, with 23 combined, and in my testing this week, I averaged 17.2, which is, you know. Moving to the profile of the TRD-Pro, starting down here with the beefy wheels and tires, you're going to get 265 70R Goodyear Wranglers around these 18-inch TRD wheels. I love the blacked out design with the red center caps. It's so cool in my mind. And then you'll have your TRD-Pro badge up here. And then you'll have a blacked out mirror cap with a turn signal indicator, a camera for the 360-degree camera system, and blind spot monitoring. They are, of course, also power adjusting. The door handles are also accented black. There's quite a lot of black accenting here. You can see the fender flares. The roof is a black accented thing. I think it actually works really well on this particular truck. But you will have keyless entry here, so if you just have the key in your pocket, you can lock the vehicle and unlock it with your hand. Then down here you will have a rock rail as sort of a protective guard for the lower portion of the truck. And then stepping back here, I just want to take a moment again to just appreciate the looks of this truck. This truck looks so freaking cool. Personally, I love it. I think it looks excellent. I know some people love it, like me, and some people hate it.
I'm Isaac's brother, and I approve this message.
In my mind, when it comes to the visual aesthetics of these mid-size off-road trucks, Personally, I think I would tie the Ranger Raptor, this Tacoma TRD Pro, and the Colorado ZR2. I think all of those trucks look really sharp in their own respective rights, but they are very uniquely rugged. And I don't know if I could pick a favorite between them. They all look really good. Moving here to the rear of the truck isn't just off-road capable, it's also very practical if you want to use the bed for hauling things or towing. There is a pretty decent towing capacity on this truck, and there's some neat features incorporated in here. For example, let's pretend I have a bunch of stuff in my hand. Everybody pretend. All right, I'm carrying this stuff and I can't get to the handle on the tailgate. Well, there is a button on the side of the taillight on either side, driver and passenger, that I can just bump right here, and that's going to drop the tailgate automatically, which is really cool. And that also raises the tailgate if you want as well. Another neat convenience feature. Before we fully move into the bed, I want to talk about the rear here. You'll have TRD-Pro stamped into that tailgate, Toyota stamped into the little grab handle right there with your backup camera and a puddle light. And then down here you'll have parking sensors, an ARB bumper, and the aforementioned tow hitch. You also get 2 recovery hooks down here as well. Now, moving back up into the bed, one thing I'm not a fan of here is that the latch to release the tailgate is just a button. You just tap that and it lowers. Unfortunately, you don't really have the option to control this on your own. For example, if I wanted to kind of put this up myself, it really fights me because it wants to do it automatically. And while that's nice for something like a mid-trim luxury SUV, on a pickup truck, I like to raise and lower my own tailgate. I think that's cool to just slam it shut, but the TRD Pro doesn't really give you the option to do that anymore, unfortunately. You'll have a composite bed liner here, though there is a spray-on material on it to protect it even more. You will have tie-down rails all across the truck, LED lights in the bed, and if you lift this up, you'll have a little storage container with USBs and a 12-volt. That's very nice. And over here, you'll have a household outlet and another little storage container. So it's a very practically usable bed on this truck. Definitely could get some work done and haul some things quite well. Tie downs, it's very capable, just as capable as any of the competition, but I just don't love that tailgate. Now, stepping up inside this bed really quickly, you can see up here in the third brake light, there are 2 cameras. We're going to talk about that a little bit more when we move to the interior, but I just wanted to mention they're there, incorporated into the third brake light. So when we talk about them, you might be like, where were those cameras? That's where they are. All right, let's talk about the key fob real quick, and then we'll move to the interior. It's a pretty simple Toyota key fob, doesn't say TRD or anything on the back, just has your Toyota badge. You'll have lock, unlock, panic, and you can also raise and lower the tailgate from here. It is very SUV-like with that feature. Hey guys, jumping in here real quick before we move to the interior, just to say I am trying to hit 40,000 subscribers before the end of this year. So if you like what you see so far, hitting the subscribe button would really help me out. But if you want to wait a little bit longer, suss me out a little bit more, see my impressions on the interior or the driving aspects of the car, that's okay too. In any case, if you decide to subscribe, thank you so much. All right, now back to the video. All right, moving to the interior of the Tacoma TRD Pro. This is a pretty nice interior. The seats, for one, are incredibly comfortable, as are the doors. This is very nice soft touch right here. This is soft touch, and so is this. And then opening this up, you can see you'll get your window controls right here, lock and unlock, your mirror controls, some storage down here, and some cup holder and additional storage area down here. Moving on over here, you're gonna have your gas cap, your button to drop the tailgate and to raise it back up, the household power outlet button, traction control, some of your lighting controls. You'll have auxiliary buttons here if you want to hook additional things up. The front TRD light bar button, and then this controls the light that illuminates the bed in the third brake light. That's very nice. And then you'll have a manually tilting and telescoping steering wheel here. And this steering wheel is very comfortable. It's nice and big, and I think it works really well for the overall vibe of this truck as well. There is an intimidating amount of buttons here, though you get used to it very quickly. I found throughout this week that I just really picked up quite well what buttons did what and what I needed just super quick. So you'll have your volume controls down here, Bluetooth. This changes your mode of like Sirius XM, FM radio, Bluetooth. And then here, this is like your skip button. Then up here, these buttons control your screen right here. You can activate different modes and adjust different settings here that you can cycle through. It does have a pretty decent amount of customization here on the 4th generation, since it is a fully digital gauge cluster screen. That's really cool, and that changes in a couple of different ways. For example, when you spin your different drive mode selection, you'll see it completely changes with a little different aesthetic to show you what mode you're in, which is nice. Then you will have your radar guided cruise control settings right here. You'll have a TRD push button start. It's a very interesting place to put it up there. Every time I've jumped in this truck, I expect it to be down here, but that's actually where the heated steering wheel button is. This has some pretty nice luxury features like the heated steering wheel. You'll also get heated seats and ventilated seats, and I review a lot of cars that have ventilated seats nowadays, but this Tacoma TRD-Pro is one of the few that really work super well. These air-conditioned seats just pump air conditioning through, which is what you want. When I turn that on, I want my back to be cold. And I've been in a lot of vehicles that are sort of vague with their ventilated seats. You're like, maybe I feel a little bit of air, but you definitely know you have them turned on here in the TRD-Pro. You'll have physical climate controls right here, which I'm a huge fan of, and I like the sort of tactical feel that you get because they're like big, beefy buttons. And then up here, you will have a massive infotainment screen. You can see I have my Apple CarPlay up right now. It's very quick and very responsive. Clicking into Toyota, there are a couple other things you can go through on this car: trip alert, vehicle information. One thing I don't love is that you can like make a driver account now, and that's useful if you have a lot of different people driving this car. But if it's just you, some settings can be kind of confusing if you don't have like a profile signed in, and I would just prefer the infotainment be more straightforward. But again, a lot of manufacturers are doing that nowadays with the sort of profile infotainment screen. It's not the end of the world, and I think for most people, they're gonna end up being on the Apple CarPlay for the most part. Now, if I put my foot on the brake, throw this truck into reverse, you have just fantastic top-down backup camera, front camera. I mean, it's a really nice camera system overall. And there's so many different things you can go to. There is a bed camera. That is one of the cameras that's up in the 3rd brake light that I mentioned earlier. So if you're driving along and you hear something moving around in there, you can check, oh, did I secure that thing well? And maybe one of my tie downs wasn't secured right, and I can look and see if it's sliding around. That's super useful. I think that's a very neat feature that more trucks should have. And then you also have the ability here to give it sort of an off-road mode, where it's going to give you that side view camera, the front. It's going to tell you the degrees and the angle that you're at, which is just fantastic. And again, goes to prove how impressively oriented towards off-roading this truck is. It can absolutely be used that way. And you have a sort of true to form off-road 3D 360 degree camera system right here. You can kind of choose what angle you want to be at. As you can see, I'm backing up, and you know, it might look like PlayStation 1 graphics, but it does definitely help if you're doing something particular that you want to back up into, and maybe it's a tight trail. This camera system can help. It's definitely not as intuitive as some of the other ones where you can like fully spin the car, but it's neat that you have that addition. And again, it goes a long way in really helping this truck excel at off-roading. And it's probably one of the most intuitive camera systems that I've personally seen on one of these off-road trucks. We'll throw that back into park. You'll get your big TRD shifter right there. Then you'll have a button down here for trailering, and then your camera view. You will have a rear locker right here. Then a sway bar disconnect right there, which is nice. Then you will have your DAC and your crawl control right here, your multi-terrain select. So that's like if you want to be in sand or mud, stuff like that, your tow haul modes. And then if you spin this, that's going to give you your drive mode selector. Right now, obviously, if I hit MTS, I would go into four-wheel drive and I could spin that and choose my different mode that I'd want to be in. And then pushing this in, that will shift us into four-wheel drive. You have 4 high and 4 low right there. We're obviously going to put it back into two-wheel drive for now. You'll have your auto hold, electronic parking brake. I don't really like electronic parking brakes, but they're here to stay. And then you're going to have a wireless charger right here and 2 USB-Cs, a 12-volt, and some more storage. You also get kind of an oh crap grab handle. And it's nice that you have this because the passenger side grab handle right here is sort of dinky compared to the 3rd generation Tacoma, and you don't even get one here on the driver's side. What you do get, however, is a JBL sound system, and this has been talked to death, but I want to mention it anyway. This has a JBL speaker, which gives you some nice audio, sort of centralized in the truck, but if you want to take the party with you, you can hit that button and bring the JBL speaker out, and it says Toyota down there. It's pretty cool, and it's sort of fun here on this higher truck to be able to have that, and then it clicks into the audio system and it works as an additional speaker. You really don't see that very often. And then right here, the second camera in your 3rd brake light is right there. So if you have someone behind you, perhaps their head is blocking your vision out the rear, you can just click that and it will turn a camera on and give you better visibility right there. Then you'll have a button for your fully power sliding rear window. Always love to see that. It's rare to see on these mid-size pickup trucks. Most of the time it's manually sliding. Then you'll have buttons right here for your sunroof. It's not a fully panoramic moonroof, but you know, on a truck like this, I don't necessarily think it needs to be. There's a lot of other luxury elements incorporated in here. So overall, I think this is a great interior, and I love the seats. They're very comfortable. You get some good storage options. I forgot to mention here, I'll open this up. You do have a pretty good amount of storage in that glove box, but like, it just sits really well, and as I'll talk about in the driving segment, it just really makes you feel like you're commanding the road when you're driving a truck like this. That big hood scoop is just really cool, and it offers a very unique driving experience compared to some of the other trucks on the market right now, and even the previous generation of the Tacoma. But let's take a quick look at the back seats. Stepping into the second row here, the first thing you might notice are these wild rear seat covers. What's going on here, you may ask? Well, this is what Toyota calls isodynamic seats. So these front seats, basically in an English explanation, have suspension. And so if you're going off-roading, you're going over bumps and stuff, you can turn this to sort of the off-road mode, and you can see there's air and there's PSI, and the idea is that it would sort of keep you more comfortable as you are doing off-roading stuff where it's maybe a little bit more bumpy. The seats potentially move with you. And it's a really cool concept. Though, as you may notice, that means the seats are pretty thick. And so stepping inside, I am 5'9", and this is where I would be sitting at 5'9" in the driver's seat, and I don't have a ton of legroom. I have a decent amount of legroom. Closing the door quick here. I'd say maybe 4 inches if I, get my legs into the slots right here in between the suspension. But if anyone is taller in the front seats, you're not going to get a lot of room back here, unfortunately. Now, you do have some decent amenities. You'll get 2 cup holders, a household power outlet, and 2 USB-Cs. You do not, however, have a fold-down armrest, unfortunately. That doesn't mean, however, that these seats do not fold down. There is a pull tab, and there's also a pull tab on the other side. because it splits 70-30. You'll have some storage over on this side, but because you have the TRD-Pro, you get a JBL subwoofer over here, so that takes away from some of your storage. And then if you owned a third generation Tacoma or some of the competition, you might say, Isaac, is there storage underneath the seats? Unfortunately, there's not, because that is where the hybrid battery is located. It's a decent backseat selection. I find that on a lot of these mid-size trucks, even the top trims or the luxury-oriented ones don't really come with a lot of amenities for the rear seat occupants. It's always sort of an afterthought. And that disappoints me because some of the full-size trucks have rear seats that are the most opulent of like most vehicles out there. I think of the new Ram 1500 has rear seats that are as nice as a Bentley. It's crazy, you know, the stuff you can fold down, heated, cooled seats, just crazy features. And these mid-size trucks often miss out on that. Now, obviously, part of that is the size of the truck itself, but hopefully someday they'll get a little bit more attention in the rear seats. Anyway, let's take this thing for a spin. All right, before we do the on-road driving segment, I wanted to give these isodynamic seats a shot here on the trail that I did in the opening of the video. It's fairly straightforward, but it's a little bumpy, and if they're working as advertised, these isodynamic seats should sort of like bounce with me. Actually, they're sort of bouncing with me as I'm doing this. So I'm just gonna gun it here. It's about a quarter mile, and we'll see if I feel anything or if it's maybe any different. I've turned them to like off-road mode, and I think I've done everything you need to make sure they work. So let's give it a shot here. All right, here we go, big bumps. Yeah, you know, it makes the bumps feel less bumpy, and the seat's kind of going with me. This is fun. It's like a gimmick, but it's like a functional gimmick. That's neat. That's pretty cool that they've incorporated that. Yeah, it's like boing. All right, now to actually drive the TRD-Pro on-road. I think it actually has very graceful on-road manners, and you wouldn't expect that for an off-road oriented truck such as this, right? You'd think it would kind of be boaty and wouldn't move gracefully, but it frankly does. It sounds boaty, and when you accelerate, oh man, it sounds fantastic. And that 8-speed automatic transmission that this has really helps acceleration on this truck, and it's worlds better than the outgoing third generation's transmission. You don't get that mystery gear hunting that you did on the other trucks from the third generation. And you know, it sits up really high. It gives you such a commanding view of the road. I really like it. There's a lot to like about this truck overall, and there's nothing else like this. Even at the direct competition level, this is just so unique, and I think Toyota really knew what they were doing here, and I'm really impressed overall. So if you're interested in a 4th generation Tacoma TRD-Pro, I'd definitely look into one. The price, of course, is ludicrous, as are most of the vehicles nowadays, but it does give you quite a bit of features, and if you're gonna take it off-road, it can definitely do that quite well. And I'm impressed overall with this truck. I think there's a lot here, and it doesn't feel like a compromise in any way. There are sometimes vehicles that I drive that sort of feel like a little bit of a compromise. You're like, okay, I can see where they held back here, they could have done this. But this really feels like it has everything. Well, that's just about going to wrap up my review of this 4th generation Tacoma TRD-Pro. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, liking it and subscribing would really help my channel out. Before I go though, I'd like to mention that I'm a Christian, and if you have any prayer requests, I would love to be able to pray for you. You can leave those in the comment section below. Lastly, I'd like to close out with a scriptural reading. This week, I'm in the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 12, verses 8 through 10. Before I read this, I'll give you a little context. So, the Apostle Paul is speaking here, And I picked this particular section of scripture because I am wiped out this week. I am so tired. And I'm like, oh man, Lord, could I just get some relief? Could I just have some rest? And by His grace, He has given me rest. But I was reminded of this section of scripture. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord about this, that it should leave me. But He said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. For the sake of Christ, then, I am content with my weakness, insults, hardships, persecution, and calamities. For when I am weak, then I am strong. God has this wonderful way of reminding me who He is in weakness and giving me strength even when I don't feel like I have it. So I hope that could encourage someone out there that might be feeling something similar. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. And remember, no matter what vehicle you drive, I hope it lasts you a long time and it serves you well. Take care.